If you're 65 or older and Medicare is your main source of insurance, pay close attention right now and listen for details on how you may save thousands of dollars on your healthcare costs. Did you know that Medicare can pay for things like dental visits, home delivery of drugs, even a gym membership? Call us right now and learn how to unlock all your Medicare benefits. Medicare and supplemental plans that we provide can even offer you drug coverage with zero copays and pay for transportation to your doctors. Medicare plans can offer you wonderful money-saving benefits, but you've got to call now. We'll help you get the most out of your Medicare. Make this free, no-obligation call now. Save a ton of money on your healthcare costs and get the code to unlock all your earned Medicare benefits. Paid for by Senior Choice Plans. 800-796-3954. 800-796-3954. That's 800-796-3954.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Bill Martinez Live, a program about current events, our culture, our values, our politics, and our future. And now, Bill Martinez.
6 minutes after the top of the hour. Good to have you with us. Bill Martinez here, along with Rick Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government. He's outside next to the trees. You're not hugging any trees out there, are you?
I'm not. I'm about 3 blocks from the Capitol. I've got a meeting at the Capitol a little bit. So I am kind of midway sitting under a tree so I don't get too hot.
Well, good. Well, when you get to the Capitol, you'll probably pass some of those chairs that are probably still smoking after that hearing with the director of Secret Service yesterday, huh?
Yeah, they definitely scorched her, and she deserved it. And and she's now resigned. So I think the idea that when you lose Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, perhaps you've lost the Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and hopefully whoever replaces her, that this is really a statement, because I think this is the first victory for our government against DEI. Don't you think, Rick?
Yeah, it definitely is. But I hate to think with the kind of in the context, because ultimately, I think that you get down to it, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had a far greater interest in making certain that their protection was squared away and was good than anybody else. And so, when you sit there and you mess up as badly as the Secret Service did in Butler, and clearly mess up from the administrative side, not from the agents on the ground. When you have that happen, it is somebody has to pay a price, and she needed to pay it, because quite honestly, we have to be able to depend on the Secret Service to do their job. And there were so many failings during the Trump assassination attempt that a lot of people in America are asking whether or not, she was in on it. And I don't believe that to be true. I just think she was incompetent.
Yeah, I probably would lean that way. Although I've been saying from day one, Rick, that entire detail needs to be put on timeout and set aside. And they all need to be investigated to determine, are they clean? Is there something? Is there some compromise? I mean, after all, come on, give me a break. You're talking a 20-year-old kid was able to outsmart the Secret Service of the United States?
Well, that's hard to imagine. But what I've been told, or what I heard, was that there are only actually 3 Secret Service agents who were regular Secret Service detail who were there. You had the counter sniper teams and the like were also Secret Service. But in terms of people on the ground, they were depending upon mostly Homeland Security personnel who are trained as law enforcement, but they're not trained as Secret Service. And the fact that and that's a staffing decision. That's a decision by Homeland Security, by Cheadle or someone above her that says, we have this isn't a priority at all. We're not putting any Secret Service into this. And you could tell the difference. You had, Secret Servicemen covering up Donald Trump, and somebody who probably wasn't Secret Service standing there at 5'3".
Yeah.
Being very clear that there's a reason why we have 6'5" men being Secret Service agents.
Right, exactly. Well, of course, and Director Cheadle had made it quite clear last year that she wanted roughly 30%, an arbitrary number, to be female. Well, well, what about merit? I mean, I don't care if, male, female, can you do the job? Can you step up? But all this, here it is, we're revisiting this situation again, all in the name of DEI, that there's two standards, not just one standard, and
Well, that's the right approach. Is there should be one standard. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, as long as you can meet the standard.
right.
And there's certain minimum height requirements. Some women can meet those height requirements.
Mhm.
There's certain strength requirements. Some women can meet those strength requirements. So this isn't man versus woman. This is about physical capacity to do the job. And if you have the physical capacity to do the job, you should be able to get the job.
Exactly.
But
Mhm.
that's not what they were doing. That's not what her policy was saying. And as a result, they were lowering standards to meet arbitrary goals rather than actually keeping the highest standards possible for those entrusted with protecting our president, our vice president, and the candidates for office. And that is absolutely unacceptable. And she's now paid the price with her job.
Well, the next test is going to be, Rick, can they ferret all that out? I mean, because this is a crisis of leadership. Can they get the right leader in there who can move them off of this DEI mentality and bring it back to standard to where they are being effective and doing the job that's expected of them as a Secret Service detail?
Well, understand that the DEI mentality is the mentality that is infused in this administration.
Right.
And so for the next, until we have another president, and not named Kamala Harris, until Donald Trump is elected and is inaugurated, you're going to see the same attitude in terms of DEI, the same, you're not going to see massive changes in terms of hiring standards. If anything, they'll probably accelerate bad hiring standards and trying to kind of embed them.
Right.
But I strongly suspect that Donald Trump, for all this talk, first thing on the job, one of the first things to do on the job is put somebody who knows what they're doing in the head of Secret Service and make certain that they only have people assigned to protectees who are capable, and able and willing to do the job. And willing to do the job is what we saw with the Secret Service agents who threw themselves on top of Donald Trump. When we're not doing the job is leaving an obvious location that somebody could shoot the president or anybody from unguarded, and effectively making a decision that somehow that it was too slopey when it was the least sloped roof possible.
Yeah,
It's
right.
I mean, that's when she truthfully lost her job.
Right.
Is when she made the excuse that they made a decision based on the slope of the roof. And then you had people going up there and saying, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
And that's
she didn't even go there and check it out herself. If she had, she probably wouldn't have made such a silly statement that just
24 hours
to expose her. Go ahead.
24 hours later, some reporters were there and there wasn't any law enforcement there. You would think 24 hours later, they'd be, scouring around trying to figure out and doing some logistics on something this serious, something that quite honestly could have caused people taking the streets.
Yes.
And
exactly.
the mishandling of this and the distrust that exists with our federal law enforcement creates added importance that this was taken seriously, and the head of Secret Service didn't take this seriously at all.
Well, the other thing that stood out for me in this, Rick, was that the comms situation was a cluster. I mean, I thought we had gotten over this after 9/11, where you had people on different channels. There wasn't a coordinated emergency channel for anybody to talk on, so that all posts would get the information. It had to be, it was like a game of telephone. It had to be passed on, from one group to another, back to another group, and it went the circle. I mean, in an emergency situation that's measured in seconds, you're going to participate in a operation that takes minutes. That's insane.
Well, that is insane. The other thing they need to, it was clear from the outset, as we first heard word about this, that there was a massive communications breakdown, and this isn't the first time these guys have done this.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597. Paid for by the Tax Helpline.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. That's 800-699-0358.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. That's 800-705-6581.
local law enforcement wasn't very well, communicated and very well brought up to speed, and even to the point when they have a routine. You talk about
protective detailees. They were on stage. They were around the stage. They weren't out and about. And if there was not and somehow, if there'd been anybody in Secret Service who was actually out in the crowd,
Mhm.
out in various locations, even just one person who could kind of coordinate from different locations, that President Trump never takes the stage. The shooter is either arrested or taken out, and
Exactly.
it's a totally different kind of, it's a success story rather than a colossal failure.
Without a doubt. Well, we got 4.5 minutes left. I wanted to get your perspective on Kamala Harris's rise to the top of the ticket.
Well, I think the rise to the top of the ticket has a lot to do with the rise of tickets and how those tickets can rise if you put enough heat on them. And all in all, we've got to have a ticket that can rise so America can have a chance to rise as well, because rising tickets and rising America are so much together. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Get ready. If you thought Joe Biden was incoherent, get ready for the VP, because they'll have to protect her from actual media scrutiny and actual being allowed to talk without a teleprompter as much as they had to protect President Biden.
Well, some that comes up, as you know, Rick, in this kind of situation when it comes to extemporaneous responses and speaking, um, this is what makes Trump so good, that he speaks from the heart and experience. I
Right.
question the level of experience that Kamala Harris has. Joe Biden was vulnerable because his synapses weren't connecting. You get that. But in the case of Kamala Harris, I think that she has limited experience, and when the heat really gets turned up and she's got to answer questions about how she, participated in, making sure these people who were with Black Lives Matter in Antifa got out of jail because of her efforts to fund their bail for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to, first of all, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. She should be on top of everything that's going on. The challenge is the reason a lot of her staff left, and she lost virtually everybody off of her
What,
staff.
about 90% of her staff in
Yeah,
3 years or something like
yeah.
that? It's
Well,
crazy. Yeah.
and a significant number of them right off the bat. And the reason that her staff continually complained that she didn't do her homework, okay, that she wasn't reading her briefing paper, she wasn't preparing for the events of the day. And given that, I mean, that's the biggest concern they have, because she has the years in. She's been a senator for a while. She's been a vice
4 years.
president. She was attorney general from California. She's got a lot of political experience. She's got a lot of diverse experience in different jobs. What she doesn't appear to have is the intellectual willpower to take advantage of that experience and learn from it and grow from it.
Mhm.
So she should be able to handle issues, but it's going to be really hard to catch her up if for 3.5 years she's been sitting in the back eating cornflakes.
Yeah. Well, here it is. I mean, let's get back to what we first started talking about. She's a DEI pick, and now, I mean, she could be the president of the United States, all under the DEI banner.
Well, when you elect a president who says out front, I'm picking a black woman, and here's the three I'm picking from.
Mhm.
It doesn't look at the who's best for the job, looks at based on color and gender.
Yes.
Well, guess what? You get the best of the limited bunch that he chose from. And that's not to say that a lot of black women couldn't be very successful as president of the United States. But the
Mhm.
fact is, he picked somebody um, who she had all the right resume qualifications, but she didn't meet the standards if you actually talk to people, that she was intellectually curious, that she was particularly smart, and she became the best impeachment protection that Joe Biden ever had.
Right. We'll leave it right there. Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Bill. Take care.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Do you have Medicare and do you use a CPAP machine? This is a national healthcare alert regarding your CPAP supplies. Using a clean CPAP mask and clean supplies is important to staying healthy. The best way to make sure your CPAP equipment is clean is to get new supplies. If you have Medicare, we have great news. Medicare will pay for you to have new clean supplies every 90 days. We'll even do all the paperwork for you to make sure that there's little to no out-of-pocket cost to you. And you don't even have to leave your home. We provide free in-home delivery. So if you're a CPAP user and you have Medicare, staying healthy with new CPAP equipment is easy. Just make this free phone call right now to get started.
Sponsored by Specialty Medical. 800-254-1421. 800-254-1421. 800-254-1421. That's 800-254-1421.
Home sales are down 31% across America, and mortgage rates are on the rise. If your home is not selling, you need to call our experts right now at the Quick Cash Hotline. We have investors ready to pay you cash for your property, regardless of the condition it's in. Most of our closings can happen in about 7 days. You don't have to worry about a buyer getting approved. You don't have to worry about showing your home. One simple call right now. Just pick up the phone and call us. I'll give you the number in a second. We will negotiate with you a price to buy your home. It's that simple. If you're ready to sell your home right now, any home, any condition, and you don't want to put money into it, no problem. We'll buy it from you. Call right now. It's a free call.
800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. That's 800-217-6459.
Welcome back, America. Bill Martinez here. As always, great to have you with us, sharing a part of your day. For more information on the show, you can check it out, BillMartinezLive.com. Jenny Beth Martin joins us from the Tea Party Patriots Action. Jenny Beth, how you doing?
I'm great. It's so good to be with you, Bill.
I'll tell you, I'm so disappointed we have nothing to talk about. So maybe we can just talk about, how about some dinner recipes or something?
It might be more fun than politics right now, but there's so much going on. It's hard to keep up with it all.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, as expected, I say as expected, maybe 50-50. I was, when we saw what happened with the assassination attempt of President Trump, and then the hearings this week in Congress with Director Sheetal, it was clear she had to resign. But whether or not Democrats and the DEI movement of the Biden administration would allow for that to happen, because here Mayorkas has done more egregious things and he still is on the job. So yes, she should have resigned. You could only hope so. And then finally we got the news that in fact she did step up and resign.
Yeah, and I'm glad that she has resigned. I honestly think that that by the end of the day yesterday, or rather Monday, had she not resigned, I think she should have just been fired immediately after her testimony. It was terrible. Right. The administration doesn't want any true accountability. I'm glad she's no longer in charge, but they didn't accept responsibility and say, no, the buck stops with you. You failed at your job. You're out of here. Right. And it should have happened. And what happened with President Trump and the assassination attempt on him, and watching the hearing on Monday, and just her, her incompetence, just overall, everything she was doing just proved time after time again she was incompetent. And it seemed as if she was just covering things up and not giving full transparency. It makes me concerned about the sitting president as well as the former president. And it makes me concerned about future presidents. The Secret Service, they need to get back to the job of protecting the protectees and quit worrying about diversity, equity, and inclusion. If a woman is capable of doing the job, great, hire her. If a man is capable, then hire him. But don't hire them because they're a man or a woman. Hire the best, most qualified person for that job, especially in a job where the agents are literally willing to lay down their life for the protectee. They deserve better. The protectee deserves better, and the American people and the entire world deserve better.
Well, Jenny Beth, I just put the caution out there that just because she resigned doesn't mean that the discussion is over. That whole situation was so compromised. There were so many egregious failures with that detail. I said from as soon as it happened, I said that entire detail needed to be set aside to be properly vetted to find out where the lapses took place. Were there, any kind of suggestions of an inside participation? Because you got a 20-year-old kid being able to outsmart the Secret Service. Are you kidding me?
I hope that, well, I mean, you can't even hope for one thing or the other because every scenario is abysmal.
Yes.
They almost assassinated President Trump. I'm not confident that they can actually protect President Biden the way that he should be protected right now after seeing what happened at the Trump rally. It is horrible. The situation is absolutely horrible. And I appreciate so much the men and women who rushed up to the stage and put their bodies and their lives in the line between the bullets and Trump. But it never should have gone that far. And the more that we learn, the more we realize that never should have happened. There should have been checks and stops along the way, hard stops that would have prevented that from ever happening.
He shouldn't have been on the stage,
No,
Jenny Beth.
He never should have been on the stage.
Right?
That is exactly my point. They knew about him for 3 hours beforehand. Then they lost sight of him and figured, well, he's outside the secure area, so maybe it doesn't matter. Well, the secure area wasn't even big enough to be a secure area.
Right.
That building was only a football field and a half away. You probably have a more secure area at every NFL game in this country than you had at that particular rally.
Exactly. Well, and the fact that the snipers had him in their crosshairs and allowed him to send 8 rounds down range is unforgivable.
It is. It is unforgivable. And were the snipers told to stand down? Were they given authority to shoot, but maybe the authority to shoot before the 8 shots were fired? Maybe they weren't confident in the people who had given them that authority. I have no idea, but there are failures all over the place. It's just a domino of failures.
Well, we know the Secret Service didn't even attend the key planning session where emergency channels are identified and where there is a common channel for emergency announcements and that sort of thing. You would think that we learned so much after 9/11 that there had to be emergency channels that all the emergency personnel had in common. So it wasn't a situation like telephone where you had to send it down to somebody else that transferred it to somebody else. They got an answer and then came back to you. I mean, in emergencies like this that are measured in seconds, you can't allow minutes for a response. And that's the other thing that came out in the investigation as well, is that there wasn't a common emergency channel in which they could communicate. So where even the local police, when they saw and they witnessed the shooter on top of the roof and the guy fell off, but they went on the comms right away to say, we got a shooter and on top of the building. It had to go through the process instead of going through everybody at the same time.
Right. That is exactly right. There should be a common channel so that you immediately alert everyone in the entire area who is taking care of the protective detail. They immediately know what they're looking out for. And when you don't do that, then what we saw happen a week and a half ago can happen.
Exactly.
It's just really hard as a citizen to sit there and look at this and say, it almost seems like the failures are there's so many failures. It's hard to think it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't, and maybe it really is just mistake after mistake after mistake with a purely, totally incompetent administration. But it's really hard to look at it and think maybe they also didn't mind if President Trump was shot.
Exactly. There's too much to risk here. That's why I said they need to be set aside, stand them down, investigate, and then let them come back if they're deserving. But there's still too many questions. We got about 2 minutes left here, Jenny Beth, and I did wanted to get your insight on Kamala Harris. She now is going to be doing the heavy lifting. Joe Biden has transferred the weight of his policies and everything on her, and now she will be the standard bearer for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, here's what I think, Bill. I think that all of us need to be very, very familiar with her record. We need to remember that she's been the immigration czar and she's allowed the border failure to happen in our country, to be invaded. And then we need not to take any poll for granted at all that shows that President Trump is ahead. And we have to do every single thing we possibly can to get out the vote. In 2020, Biden sat in a basement, had about 10 people at a rally at a time. I may be exaggerating slightly, while Trump had tens of thousands at rallies. Exactly. And still they managed to make sure that Biden was the one who was sworn in as president. We cannot take anything for granted. The fact that they changed from Biden to Kamala Harris shows that the left is determined to hold on to power and do anything they possibly can to do so. And we just can't underestimate them.
Well, it's clear. Joe Biden, when making his announcement, he said he had to do it in the interest of the party. He said the party first, not the country. So, and that's exactly the pressure that came upon him to force his resignation.
That's right. And if the interest of the party, like the people within the party, the actual average voters had been considered, there would have been a primary for those voters months and months ago. This is about a handful of people who have power right now and want to hold on to power. And a lot of people are okay with it because they just hate President Trump so much. Anything is okay because they hate him so much.
Well, you're exactly right. We can't take anything for granted. Jenny Beth, where can they go for more information?
Go to teapartypatriots.org, teapartypatriots.org.
Gave you the last word. That's awesome. Thank you, lady.
Perfect.
Take care.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Sandra Fay, President of the American Veterinary Medical Association, with tips to help keep your pets safe outdoors this summer. Sunny days are perfect for outdoor playtime. Just make sure to avoid the hottest hours and have access to shade and fresh water. On really hot days, keep outdoor activities brief. Take plenty of cooling indoor breaks and watch for signs of overheating, like excessive panting or lethargy. When exploring outdoors, it's important to watch your pets closely and keep them leashed to limit their ability to get into things they shouldn't. If you notice vomiting, diarrhea, weakness, or trouble breathing, contact your veterinarian right away. And summer backyard parties are fun, but keep your pets away from potentially toxic foods and drinks to avoid an unplanned trip to the vet. Highly fatty foods and things like chocolate, grapes, onions, and alcohol can make pets very ill. For more on keeping pets safe, visit avma.org.
It's going to be a stormy summer. Hi, I'm Dr. Rena Carlson, President of the American Veterinary Medical Association. With blazing heat, tornadoes, hurricanes, and wildfires, how do we keep our pets safe? First, the sun. Make sure your dog has access to shade and fresh water, and consider walking your dog at cooler times of the day. Watch out for heat stress, which can include panting and drooling, and if you're concerned, call your veterinarian. As for more severe weather, such as twisters or hurricanes, have an evacuation plan mapped out in advance. Put together a pet evacuation kit with several days' food, medicine, first aid kit, and other travel supplies, including medical records. Make sure your pet has proper identification, including microchip, and contact your veterinarian if you need more specifics on how to prepare. Log on to avma.org for more valuable information on pets, summer heat, and disaster preparedness planning.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your fourth line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
In a single moment, everything can change. When a player's sudden cardiac event brought a national football game to a halt, it shone a spotlight on the importance of CPR readiness. Now, with youth sports in full swing, the American Heart Association is rallying parents and coaches to be ready in an emergency. To be ready, learn hands-only CPR. It's a skill anyone can learn in minutes. Visit heart.org/hands-only-CPR and become a lifesaver today.
You know, in these uncertain times of rising inflation and cost of living increases, how can we more than survive? This is why, after considering many gold sponsors, we decided to endorse and personally recommend to you the Genesis Gold Group. You're going to see for yourself that they're a partner that aligns with our biblical values of prudent stewardship. Investing in gold and silver through a gold IRA isn't just about wealth. It's about securing God's provision for our future. Genesis makes it easy to convert your 401k or IRA into a retirement account backed by physical precious metals like gold and silver. Their team has decades of experience helping folks like us preserve our hard-earned savings. That's why I would only trust Genesis Gold Group to help get you back on the gold standard. Call them today, 844-202-4252, for a free consultation. That's 844-202-4252, or go to the website goldwithbill.com. Welcome back, America. Bill Martinez here. Good to have you with us, sharing a part of your day. For more information on the show, BillMartinezLive.com. Eric Rourke is with us. Eric is the Director of Research and Public Relations with Numbers USA. Eric, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, lots to talk about, particularly now. Kamala Harris has been given the heavy load of the Biden administration policies, the 3.5+ years of pain and suffering, shared misery that America has had to be subjected to because of the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And now she's pushed to the front of the line, and it's going to be her job to try to sell this bucket of mess to the American voter.
It is. There still has to be a convention coming up in a couple of weeks, but it certainly looks like the Democratic leadership is behind Harris to be the nominee. And she will have to defend the policies, the immigration policies of the last 3.5 years. And she was tasked. Some people have called her the border czar. I've seen some pushback in the media saying, well, wasn't really her role. But clearly she was tasked with addressing the root causes and stopping immigration from Central America. And she basically, her strategy was to say, don't come. Mm-hmm. And that was about it. And the cartels.
Did the media forget all the video, footage of her being assigned the border responsibility?
Well, I think the quibble now is just on the term border czar, not actually what she was supposed to do. But, whatever she did, or more importantly, did not do, the cartels who are in control of our southern border don't respond to what politicians say. They respond to the realities at the border.
Exactly.
And the realities was and still is to this day, if you show up at the border and you want to get into the country illegally, chances are you're either going to get across one way or the other. And a lot of people, millions of people, we know over 5 million plus, have been released by the Biden-Harris administration into the United States.
Eric, do we know, you bring up something important here, and that is the cartels. Do we know how much growth and penetration the cartels have experienced in the last 3.5 years under the Biden-Harris administration?
Well, I've seen various estimates about profits that they've made,
Profits, yeah.
upwards of 30 billion.
Yes.
But what we know, and this is coming from Border Patrol, from DEA and other government sources, they're no longer dependent upon drug smuggling for their profits. It's human smuggling and trafficking, because it's so easy to get people to the border and into the United States because, and here's, the sad part of it, our government, the United States government, is completing the smuggling and trafficking for the cartels.
Well, my understanding is the supply chain of the cartels has now invaded every state of the union, whereas at one time I think it was about 30%. I'm not sure exactly where it was when Donald Trump left office and Joe Biden took over, but in short order, the cartels have now inculcated themselves in every state of the union. So the supply chain that, as you say, involves not just illegal immigrants, but you're talking sex trafficking, you're talking fentanyl distribution, the whole enchilada now that is part and parcel and a result of these ineffective policies brought to us by the Harris Biden administration.
That's right. And this is something that's been going on for many years. It's not as if, it just came about because of President Biden and Harris's policies. But what we have seen, because of the fact that they've basically surrendered any attempt to control the border and interior enforcement, and that's why the cartels have gotten such a strong foothold in the United States, is that the Biden administration not only opened the border, but under Mayorkas, Secretary Mayorkas, DHS Secretary Mayorkas, they effectively ended interior enforcement in the United States. So once you get over the border, no matter what you're doing in the United States, you're going to be allowed to remain. And even we've seen people who've committed serious crimes, illegal aliens who have committed serious crimes, who have been released after they've committed these crimes, or even if they've gotten to the border and they've shown up. I just saw a story today. Someone who was wanted for murder was released by the Border Patrol into the United States. Now, ICE did capture him, but we're seeing these things, and if we shut the border today, we're still going to have millions of people who are in the United States who have come in the last 3.5 years, and that's a problem that whoever is the next president is going to have to deal with this. And when we talk about a potential President Harris, we know from her record, both as senator and as vice president, that she's not going to effectively change the policies we've seen from President Biden.
Right. Well, who knows? Maybe she might find the border. I mean, she hasn't found the border in 3.5 years. I mean, it is clearly pathetic, the danger that she has placed, that this administration has placed. Because do we even have a real number? Because I hear anywhere from 7 to 10 million illegal migrants have entered our country since Joe Biden came into office.
Well, we do know that there have now exceeded 10 million encounters. And so that's not 10 million individuals who have come in, because some individuals are encountered more than once.
Right.
But what we have seen reported is about a little over 7 million people who have gotten in, either been released or as gotaways. And so we don't know how many people are unknown gotaways. Probably the percentage of people who are trying to sneak in and aren't detected are fewer, because it's so easy to get in. You just go to the Border Patrol and turn yourself in. But we also have to look at the numbers of people who've come in through parole programs. Right. And the Biden administration has set it up, and so people can directly fly into the United States and bypass ports of entry. Now, the Biden administration is saying these people are coming in through legal pathways that they've set up. They're still inadmissible aliens. They're not under law allowed to come into the United States. So we could easily see 10 million people who illegally enter the United States under the Biden administration.
Not to mention already the accumulated illegals that we had prior to that. I mean, for so long, Eric, and you and I talked about this, I think the last couple of times, is that they kept saying, well, 11 million, and that became the accepted number. But it's like, wait a minute, that was 10 years ago. that number is in the rear view window a long time ago. So, counting the new insurgents in that, I got to imagine we're upwards of 30 million illegal immigrants in our country now.
Well, it is hard to say because number one, this is a population that does not want to be counted, right? So if you're doing survey, which that's how the Census Bureau does surveys every year, and even throughout the year. And so if you're illegally in the country, you're probably not going to want to answer the phone and talk to these people.
Right.
But we do see, kids who are showing up in schools. We can measure that population. What people need to realize is over time, illegal aliens, they go home. Some of them die. Some of them get legal status, and so the number, doesn't increase incrementally. But what we've seen under the Biden administration is millions and millions of people who are coming into the United States, and we're going to have to deal with that number. And it's going to take us a while just to figure out the extent of the problem. But more importantly, how to deal with this from a law enforcement standpoint, and particularly when it comes to the courts who are going to try to, well, not the courts necessarily, but people are going to raise lawsuits against
of course.
a president who tries to enforce the law. We see that all the time, and that's why we need a president who has a platform policy and is ready day one to enforce the law. And we hear talks about mass deportation. It's about enforcing the law and making sure that people comply with the law. And I think that's really the way we should think about it. If you're breaking the law,
exactly,
you should be held accountable for that.
Right. Well, and the other thing too, I want to go back to the cartel situation. I mean, you imagine what it's going to take to clean up the cartels. I mean, Mexico has a rough enough time as it is, and we're not talking people that are going to be, getting in paddy wagons very eagerly and cooperatively. I mean, this is going to be a battle royal inside our country.
You're right about that, because these aren't people who are going to want to comply with the law. Even if we start to assert our sovereignty again and say the rule of law will be established, these are, what we see in Mexico. These are heavily armed, well-disciplined, well-organized criminal organizations. And, they're going to provide a challenge to federal, state, and local law enforcement. And lots of local law enforcement agencies aren't equipped to deal with the problem from a standpoint of manpower, resources, or to deal with a militarily trained criminal organization in their community.
Thank you, Eric. Take care.
BBS Radio TV. We've connected the world. We're like a makeover show for your brain. Warning. May cause an addiction to witty banter and ability to stop snacking and spontaneous outbreaks of interpretive dance. Consult your friends before use, as they may become equally obsessed. Use responsibly or don't. We're not your mom. Use responsibly or don't. We're your mama.
Well, hello there. Check this out. You're listening to BBS Radio TV. That's right. All right. Okay. All right. Guess what? It's the best station you've ever heard of. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm me, huh? I'm saying that because it's the truth. Other radio programs ain't got nothing on us, huh? I'm putting BBS radio TVs on all your stations. That's right.
Hi, everyone. Michael Horn for GetTheTea.com. Summer heat getting to you? Go to GetTheTea.com and take advantage of their first ever semi-annual sale on all of their herbal cleansing teas. Buy two, get 1 month absolutely free. Get the Tea is available in natural, peppermint, pomegranate, and senna, the added strength cleansing tea. Go to GetTheTea.com. Enter the code MikeT and receive free shipping, too. GetTheTea.com is a family-based and owned company that has been in business over 15 years. They also carry unique supplements that you won't find in stores for your immune system, your glucose levels, and vitamins, too. GetTheTea.com. It's one of the best sales of the year, so don't wait. Buy two, get one free. Go to GetTheTea, T-E-A, GetTheTea.com. Enter the code MikeT for free shipping. GetTheTea.com. Mike T is your code. Go to GetTheTea.com.
BBS Radio TV. If it's not mainstream, it's on BBS Radio TV. A place for answers.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. That's 800-705-6581.
Getting America back on track. Bill Martinez live.
Six minutes after the top of the hour, Bill Martinez with you. Great to have you with us, sharing a part of your day. For more info on the show, you can check it out, BillMartinezLive.com. With us right now is the one and only Steve Bonta, the executive senior editor who writes on economics, foreign affairs, and American politics for the New American Magazine. Steve, it's always good to have you with us. How are you?
I'm fine. Great to be here, Will. Bill, sorry.
Well, it's just too bad that we don't have anything to talk about. I mean, we don't have another attempted assassination. We're not getting any information from the director of Secret Service. Joe Biden is finally decided what we all knew was going to happen was inevitable, especially after that dismal performance in the debate, right?
Yes, and I admit I called that wrong. I thought he was never going to do what he had to do. And so I had a little bit of an informal bet with my colleague, Paul Dragu, who said he will not be the candidate on Monday. We talked about this last Thursday, Friday, and I said, oh, come on.
Yes.
And so I'm going to have to eat humble pie on air a little later on today, but that's how it goes.
But Steve, we were told Hakeem Jeffries, everybody was in lockstep with the Democratic Party. There was no way, Joe Biden, he had all the delegates. He's there. There's not going to be an open convention. But then you started seeing the pig piling of Democrats, congressmen and senators saying, look he's having an effect on the downlight ballot, and that's unacceptable. It was just too much to overcome, and and then of course you had donors bailing as well, and so now here we are, and he makes the announcement, and then comes back after he makes the announcement, and goes, oh yeah, by the way, Kamala Harris is my choice.
Well, this is, I mean, they're, and we're not saying anything that any astute observer doesn't know already, but they're really hosted by their own petard, because of course he picked Kamala Harris, arguably the weakest candidate in the Democratic presidential field in the last electoral cycle, didn't get a single delegate, is broadly disliked not only by people on the Republican side, but the Democrat side. And it's not just because of her evil cackle. I mean, in terms of policy, this is the woman who, as Attorney General of the state of California, fought the Obama administration over various and sundry, environmental issues, over the Keystone Pipeline. She's more extreme by half than even the extremists who are now calling the shots in the Democratic Party. But they're in an impossible situation with Kamala because she's less popular than Joe Biden. There's no way you're going to be able to put lipstick on this particular pig. I'm sorry. I mean, that's an expression. That's not the sexist comment, just to make that clear. Yeah. And I don't think anything they can do is going to change that. So, but now but of course, then the other problem is the money. I'm told there is over $200 million in the Biden campaign war chest, which is a drop in the bucket by the standards of campaign financing, but it's not an inconsiderable sum. Right. And of course, there's the other issue that, Biden, having picked this, just incredibly weak person as his vice presidential subordinate and heir apparent, first of all, to appease all the DEI people, the race card, all the rest of it. And second of all, to make sure that he's effectively impeachment proof. Because this is, I think, one of the reasons that the House Impeachment Committee has been, or subcommittee has been dragging its heels. Biden is impeachable many times over. However, the concern for more than a year has been, yes, but if we impeach him, we're going to get someone even worse, Kamala Harris. So Biden knew all of this. And so did the Democrats. It was all very cynically, cunningly calculated. But now they've got the situation that if they jettison Kamala, they're going to further alienate at least a portion of the Black voters and the female voters and all their other, DEI-focused constituencies. But more than that, they're going to lose all this money because she is the only person who can deploy it in Biden's stead, since she is still, she is part of the Biden, the overall campaign. She would be switching roles. So the question really comes down to this. And I suspect, the Democrats are not stupid, at least in terms of being able to plan stuff. They're meeting right now and thinking, are we willing to lose all that money? Can we get a bunch of these donors on board, the big Hollywood types, and raise an equivalent amount for whoever else rises up, a Shapiro or a Whitmer or somebody like that, somebody more palatable to take to become the standard bearer. So, it's going to be, in other words, will greed for money or greed for power be the ultimate determining factor here? It's a fascinating question.
Well, and of course, as this unfolds, you've got, to your point, you've got probably the top bundler down in Florida who said, I'm picking up my chips. I'm not putting them on Kamala Harris. It's too much of a hard sell. So that doesn't look good right off the bat. It's interesting, as you say, that here with this DEI mentality that has been running rampant in the Democratic Party, that she would still manage probably more support than she did when she ran for president. I mean, she ran such an awful campaign that she couldn't even garner, one vote.
Well, I could tell you what at least one faction of the Democratic leadership may be thinking, because it was voiced by James Carville in an op-ed piece only a few hours before Biden announced his withdrawal. And that is, he took it as a given that eventually Biden would see the light and would withdraw. And he said, given that, rather than just reflexively anointing Kamala Harris, here's what we ought to do. And his proposal in outline was as follows. We take the last two successful Democratic presidents, Obama, Clinton, and we appoint them sort of a duumvirate of wise old men, and they will be tasked with selecting 8 possible presidential contenders and then organizing and overseeing a series of debates to be carried out in the next few weeks before the DNC in Chicago. And then so that all the delegates who are now free, the Biden delegates who are now free in theory, can decide for themselves. And then in theory at the convention, which would be an open convention after the style of the Democratic Party, harkening back to 1968, of course.
Right.
And you and I both, I remember that dimly, but I was pretty young at the time. So so then in theory, at least, a candidate who would be more, he's not saying what everyone's thinking, but a more viable candidate than Kamala Harris in this way would be brought to the surface. The interesting thing is what he's saying, in effect, is the old guard, the Clintons and the Obamas, who've been controlling, the real puppet masters who've been controlling the Democratic Party all this time, at least the political aspects of it, ought to be put in charge of determining who the next Democratic nominee ought to be, and all their considerations are secondary. That's Carville's proposal, and he's a bit aged himself now, and I think he's on an Alaska cruise at the moment, but he ought to be taken seriously. So,
well, but the other deal too, what you've got to look at, because the Democrats are so interested in optics, right? Yeah. And if it's not Kamala, then they have got to find a woman of color who can cover that in such a way that it doesn't ignite some sort of civil war because of how they've mistreated Kamala Harris.
Yes, and of course, we all know who that woman of color they would love to be. The thing is, the whole Michelle Obama, will she or won't she soap opera reminds me of something similar back in the 80s when they were struggling to come up with a viable opponent to Ronald Reagan. And all the buzz was Mario Cuomo, the then governor of New York State.
Say goodbye to pain,
and it was a big
and aging woes
in the press,
with
which at the
Greska's
time
Carbon
consisted of
60.
TV
For more
and
than a
newspapers.
decade, Greska's
Yeah, so
Carbon 60
we got to go to break.
has
We'll
been
pick it
the
up on the other
go-to
side. More from
supplement
Steve
to
Bonta
eliminate
after
free
this.
radicals and toxins, improving overall health and mental clarity. Developed by a carbon engineer to provide the most bioavailable Carbon 60, Greska's food-grade dietary supplement provides the best value and natural relief from inflammation and pain. Discover the secret to a healthier life with Greska's Carbon 60. Greska's Carbon 60 is your solution for pain, inflammation, and fatigue. Greska's Carbon 60. Call anytime, 720-660-40, 720-660-40, or visit c-60.com. That's the letter c-60.com, c-60.com.
Home sales are down 31% across America, and mortgage rates are on the rise. If your home is not selling, you need to call our experts right now at the Quick Cash Hotline. We have investors ready to pay you cash for your property, regardless of the condition it's in. Most of our closings can happen in about 7 days. You don't have to worry about a buyer getting approved. You don't have to worry about showing your home. One simple call right now. Just pick up the phone and call us. I'll give you the number in a second. We will negotiate with you a price to buy your home. It's that simple. If you're ready to sell your home right now, any home, any condition, and you don't want to put money into it, no problem. We'll buy it from you. Call right now. It's a free call.
800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. That's 800-217-6459. If you're 65 or older and Medicare is your main source of insurance, pay close attention right now and listen for details on how you may save thousands of dollars on your healthcare costs. Did you know that Medicare can pay for things like dental visits, home delivery of drugs, even a gym membership? Call us right now and learn how to unlock all your Medicare benefits. Medicare and supplemental plans that we provide can even offer you drug coverage with zero copays and pay for transportation to your doctors. Medicare plans can offer you wonderful money-saving benefits, but you've got to call now. We'll help you get the most out of your Medicare. Make this free, no-obligation call now. Save a ton of money on your healthcare costs and get the code to unlock all your earned Medicare benefits. Paid for by Senior Choice Plans. 800-796-3954. 800-796-3954. That's 800-796-3954.
This is Don Shank with today's global update from the Tide Ministry, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ worldwide in the languages people were born to speak. There are still millions of people who are longing for the peace that only Christ can give, and we're determined to share His love in any way we can. The Tide third annual Race to Share the Gospel invites participants to run, walk, bike, hike, or even swim 13 miles in 16 days to make an eternal impact on the lives of millions around the world. The race will kick off on Saturday, April 27th and end on Sunday, May 12th. This year, the Tide Ministry aims to raise $15,000 to directly enable new outreach in the Balkan region of Eastern Europe. Holding this virtual race gives fellow believers the opportunity to tangibly participate in what God is doing worldwide. To learn more about the Tide Race to Share the Gospel and how you can participate regardless of where you live, visit thetide.org. That's thetide.org.
Welcome back, America. 19 minutes after the top of the hour, a conversation with Steve Bonta, the executive senior editor who writes on economics, foreign affairs, and American politics for the New American Magazine continues. Steve, I wanted you to finish your thought. I'm sorry we had to go to quick break here. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know that there was a finish. My point, the overall point is that recalling the Mario Cuomo soap opera of the 1980s and now the Michelle Obama soap opera now, many times these people have reasons, there are hidden agendas and things they don't want to get out about, want to come out about their family life, their finances, and so forth and so on. Or perhaps they're just sick and tired of being center stage. It is, regardless of how strong your lust for power may be, it is still true, substantially true, that heavy is the head that bears the crown. And that's true even when we, well, certainly for our elected monarchs that inhabit the White House these days. So it may well be that Michelle Obama, having seen what her husband went through for 8 years, genuinely doesn't want to run. Though I would suspect there are probably more venal motives, but who knows what they might be. That said, the Democrats are in a quandary because aside from Joe Manchin, who of course is technically no longer a Democrat and who's already announced that he's not interested,
right.
I don't really see any Democrat out there that's even moderately competent, moderately aligned with, kind of the old working class blue collar Democrat that, the pre-woke Democrats that used to be their constituency, who's a fixture in the scene who could do that. I mean, all of their main people are super woke, super focused on DEI, super pro all this, the environmental garbage and all the rest of this. And I don't think any of them are going to resonate any better than Biden has.
Exactly. Well, to your point, I mean, Joe Manchin on Sunday said, hey, and Saturday, I might be interested. I could change parties and, re-enlist in the Democratic Party and do it. And I think he slept on it and realized, do I really want to put my head in the fan here? Because to your point, the party has become so woke. I mean, could you imagine? And basically his sentiment, what he said, I mean, there was a lot in that statement, like, I don't need this,
Well, yeah, and a lot of that the old Joe Manchin, the constituency for the Joe Manchin-esque Democrats has all migrated either to the Republican Party or at least have become MAGA supporters. They may not be long-term Republicans, but they support Trump. I mean, in the convention last week, we saw the head of the International Teamsters Union.
Exactly.
First time in history addressed the Republicans. He knows exactly which way the wind is blowing. He's been hearing it from his subordinates who are saying, yeah, we know in the past the Democrats have been the pro-worker party, but nowadays we like Trump. And also, all these environmental strictures that the Biden administration has been handing out are really harming our industry. So they're losing that whole segment of the population, if indeed they've not lost it already. So it seems like that ship has sailed, and barring the outbreak of a world war or a successful assassination attempt against Trump, or perhaps some kind of last-minute crazy gambit where they actually put him in jail in September and try to keep it, or there are still a few cards that the deep state and the Democrats have to play, but it's hard to see how they can forestall the inevitable at this point.
Well, they're not going to go away quietly. There's no question. Power, control, and money. The holy trinity of the deep state runs deep. It's deep in their ideology, as Dianne Feinstein would say, and so the Republican Party cannot take anything for granted, or the MAGA loyalists. And I got to tell you, Steve, and I think you're referring to this and inferring that what I love about the MAGA brand is that it's all encompassing. It's not about the Republican Party. It stands on its own. It's an America first ideal. And this is what is opening up the doors and broadening the tent of the Republican Party to bring in and welcome Democrats and independents alike, and even some disenfranchised Republicans who are realizing after 3.5 plus miserable years, and a reminder of the 8 miserable years we had under Barack Obama, that hey, maybe we ought to get back on the horse that demonstrated what it was like for us to have a job, just to enjoy freedoms, to be energy independent, and to have no wars.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as Trump's potential deficiencies, January 6th, most people are past that. And in particular, January 6th, I think, is perceived by a lot of people as a bit of an overreaction to literally years of torment and persecution of Trump and his people. I mean, that they went there. I mean, lawfare didn't start on January 7th.
Right.
It started way back in 2016, 2015. They've been out to get this guy. It's just been unbelievable. Then the second thing is, of course, that the Democrats love to trot out is COVID, as though it were somehow Trump's fault that COVID happened, and that his response, admittedly, was, in hindsight, could have been better. But I think people are looking at that and saying, yeah, okay, but if COVID had happened on the watch of Obama or Biden or pretty much anyone, it's hard to know that anyone would have done any better than what Trump did. And so the economic calamity that came in the wake of the COVID pandemic that Biden then failed to resolve, which continues to this day. I mean, I just learned the other day that my cell phone is about to die. So I'm going to buy a new cell phone for the first time in 2 years. And it looks to me like the prices of cell phones have literally more than doubled since I bought my last cell phone in 2022. I paid like $160 for it. And now in a comparable cell phone, same brand, looks like it's over $400, $500. I couldn't believe it. So people know this. And they know that, Biden's had 3.5 years to get this under control. And it's clear that he has no intention of doing so. And what's more, most people have finally tumbled to the reason as to why. And that is the ferocity of their intention to implement this radical left agenda. We're on the environment, on taxation, on guns, which, by the way, I don't know if you were watching at all the Kimberly Cheadle hearing this morning. I was watching it before I came on the show. Or I'm not sure when this is going to be, but anyway, on Monday, suffice it to say, and even there, the Democrats from the opening speech by Jeremy Raskin, they just had to get their digs in about AR-15s, assault weapons, guns. I mean, it's all politics all the time, even under such circumstances as those. They're not going to let any of these issues go. And in some sense, this could be their greatest liability, the fact that they're purblind because of their extreme ideological commitment.
Well, and to your point here, after all is said and done, we're not better off. We're worse off. I mean, you see it just in going to purchase a cell phone. Americans every day, going to the grocery store, we're paying roughly anywhere from 20 to 50% more than what we've paid for in the last 4 years, brought to you by Joe Biden and the Democratic Party.
Right. And all of this is completely, Biden and the elite mindset that he represents. When Biden says things like, the American economy is doing great, look at all the new jobs we create, all these things. What he means is the American economy is doing great, given that we must operate within these self-imposed DEI and radical environmentalist constraints that we've imposed on ourselves. Because, of course, we know that we have to kill the auto industry as it exists. Right. We know that we have to shut down completely fossil fuel productions and all these other things. We know that we need to fund all this new stuff with government. So that means debt's going to go up, inflate. But given these unavoidable constraints that we are ideologically committed to, we're not doing too badly. We're not completely transformed into a nation of paupers yet. And this is a good thing from their point of view, because for them, it's all about the agenda, the ideology, and the outcome.
Well, and the thing is that this misinformation about job creation, even, for a while, and then he finally realized he couldn't go around and claim that, inflation was up at 9% when he took over. It's like, no, you're delusional. Forget about it. That's not it. We know it was 1.4%. He's got economists, Nobel Prize winning economists, who are all Democrat apparatchik, and they're all part of the machinery and everything like that.
Well, fortunately, people, the scales are falling off our lying eyes. People are being red-pilled, as the expression goes. And I think, because there's nothing like brute experience as a teacher. It's one thing to read books, to think in the abstract, to say, I believe in these principles of the Constitution and the freedom. But when you actually have it visited upon you, the economic calamities and everything else that's been typical of the Biden. And by the way, this administration isn't done yet. We still have a few months to go. Exactly. It's a harsh teacher, but there it is.
Got to leave it there. Steve Bonta, thank you.
I'm Dr. Sandra Fay, president of the American Veterinary Medical Association, with tips to help keep your pets safe outdoors this summer. Sunny days are perfect for outdoor playtime. Just make sure to avoid the hottest hours and have access to shade and fresh water. On really hot days, keep outdoor activities brief. Take plenty of cooling indoor breaks and watch for signs of overheating, like excessive panting or lethargy. When exploring outdoors, it's important to watch your pets closely and keep them leashed to limit their ability to get into things they shouldn't. If you notice vomiting, diarrhea, weakness, or trouble breathing, contact your veterinarian right away. And summer backyard parties are fun, but keep your pets away from potentially toxic foods and drinks to avoid an unplanned trip to the vet. Highly fatty foods and things like chocolate, grapes, onions, and alcohol can make pets very ill. For more on keeping pets safe, visit avma.org.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597. Paid for by the Tax Helpline. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. That's 800-699-0358.
Welcome back, America. 28 minutes before the top of the hour. Bill Martinez here. Good to have you with us, sharing a part of your day. For more info on the show, you can check it out, BillMartinezShow.com or BillMartinezLive.com, either one. Hey, right now we got Trevor Loudon. Always great to be talking to my good friend, the researcher of researchers, I say, author, who is here to talk about, look at what's going on right now in our government and the Democratic Party. It seems that they are in a mad scramble. Trevor Loudon, what do you say?
Well, they certainly are. They've really, by putting Kamala Harris in against the wishes of everybody, they've really hurt themselves, because she's not an alternative to Biden. So they've got a real scramble on to see. They've got to get rid of Biden, but they don't want Kamala. So how are they going to do this?
Well, to me, I think the only redeeming aspect of this is that, the Democrats can claim, look, we gave you the first black president, and find a soft exit for Biden before his end of term, put Kamala in as president, and they can say she is the first female black president of the United States, and they can claim some sort of end zone victory there. But I think that, as you said, they've checkmated themselves. And as the people are understanding more and more of what this Democratic Party has done to us, we the people, it's not just Joe Biden, it's the entirety of the Democratic Party. Because look at how these congressmen and senators have voted lockstep with Joe Biden. They've approved of all his policies to shut down oil, to make us energy independent, to open the borders, to compromise our national security, to fund Iran. All this diabolical, executive orders combined in policies that they've been in lockstep. I've not heard anybody on the Democratic Party come out against any of these policies. Have you?
No, look, there are no independent Democrats at the top level anymore. Was it Lieberman or Joe Lieberman?
Joe Lieberman. Yes, right.
Yeah,
right.
The senator from Connecticut was the last independent Democrat. Even Joe Manchin went along with most of their stuff,
right?
And Kirsten Sinema. So the Democratic Party is a hardcore Marxist party now. They brook no dissension. And that everybody in America now knows that they've been lying to us for years. They lied to us about Joe Biden's fitness for office. So they've got a massive credibility problem going forward, no matter what way they go, no matter what way they jump.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is, see, they're locked into this, Trevor, because as you and I have talked about for years, in order for the Democrats to get reelected, they've got to follow the purse. And Nancy Pelosi had her grip on the purse that ensured their reelection. So they had to go along with her. And so this is, this is kind of like the story of elephants and how they train elephants to stay close to, a spike that half the time the rope doesn't even have to be tied around the spike. They train them early so that when they become big adults and they're this massive of muscle and whatever, they can be controlled by a little light rope. And that's kind of like the Democratic Party, isn't it?
Well, it's a very good analogy. And you're right. See, the Republican Party has a little more dissension. And we saw 20 of them rebel against Kevin McCarthy, just hold the whole party to ransom, which was great as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. The more of that, the better. But you would never, ever see that in the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
You would never see it because Republicans are more locally controlled. Democrats are completely centrally controlled. As you say, Nancy Pelosi holds the money. You buck Nancy Pelosi, you buck the Democratic Party, you do not get reelected. It's as simple as that.
Well, and here they are, not knowing what to do. And I mean, and I don't blame, the downline, legislators and governors who are nervous because they're going, wait a minute, we're going to go down with this ship here. And we've got to find a way. You talk about looking for an exit, may not be quite as soft, but they're trying to protect their interests as well and trying to find a nice way to move Joe Biden aside. But like you said, I mean, look at Kamala. Her approval ratings are worse than Joe Biden. Even when she was running for president, I don't think she could get more than 3% approval. And that's in her own party. And I think even in the state of California, what did she get? 5th place?
Look, she is a terrible candidate.
Yeah.
But there's sort of a sweet justice here. But I think, the only thing that would save them would be like Michelle Obama or something like that. But they'll go for anybody just to save as many seats as they can.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michelle would be the only one who could possibly beat Trump. None of the others could, in my opinion. But that Joe Biden's days are numbered. He is not going to last.
Yeah, I have a friend, Joel Gilbert, who will be on later on this week.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he did a great documentary on Michelle Obama. I know some people think, and you just made the statement that you think that Michelle Obama could beat Donald Trump. Michelle Obama has not been vetted. Of course, you did a lot of vetting of her husband and people didn't pay attention to it. So she has a short span of time in which to be vetted. Her approval rating somewhere about 85%, very popular. I think that she could mitigate some of the damage. I'm not confident, though, Trevor, like you, that she could end up being elected president of the United States.
Well, I'm not confident either, but I think she's the only one that might.
I agree. I agree with that statement in terms of the lineup. Gavin Newsom. Go on down the line. I don't see anybody else, and she could kind of be the one to mitigate some of the damage and the inner working damage. But the problem is that the Democratic, like you said, the Democratic Party has inflicted this upon themselves. This is kind of a self-inflicted wound to their very soul that's going to cause them, if they have any kind of reason whatsoever, to call timeout and reconnoiter and reconsider their policy and their stance and the future of the Democratic Party. Because as you said, they've gone full-blown Marxist. It's no holds barred. I mean, they can lie about it and everything else, but everything about them, walks and talks and smells like a duck, doesn't it?
Well, it is. They're a Marxist party now. People understand that. Well, to the degree that they understand Marxism, I know this is not the Democratic Party of your granddaddy. But I'll just say on Michelle Obama, she is just as Marxist as Barack.
Mm.
She is even more racially centered than Barack. She was involved in several left-wing groups at college. Barack and her both had the same Marxist mentors at Harvard, etc. She is completely cut from that cloth.
Right.
She's a Marxist Oprah Winfrey, basically. That's what she is.
She's more overt, I would say, because when it comes to, playing the race card, Trevor, she can't help herself. She leads with the race card every time. I mean, she's trying to soften the blow. I'm sure Barack's probably trying to talk to her, going, Michelle, maybe you need to, frame it in this, but she can't help herself. Her worldview is
very
such
racially driven, extremely racially driven.
Yeah, I mean, because here we are, we've come a long way. And I believe that what happened, a lot of people voted for Barack Obama when he ran for president in hope upon hope, Trevor, that we would get this racial divide behind us once and for all. And it didn't happen.
Well, it actually exacerbated it.
Yes,
the racial divide was healing before Obama, and now it's way worse than it was then. But the great thing is, because of President Trump, because of his use of social conservative, see, my argument is this: the Black and Latino and Asian communities in America are more socially conservative than the Anglo communities, generally speaking. The Republican Party has always run on economic issues, wouldn't touch the social conservative issues. Trump would. And the borders, faith, freedom, family, faith, and freedom. And that's why millions of Black, Latinos, Jewish, Asian Americans have moved across, because Trump's not a traditional Republican. He's more of a social conservative in a way. He's social liberal, social conservative, but he will espouse social conservative values, making America great, patriotism, the value of faith. So look, this is a realignment going on. If Trump can win this election, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party could be destroyed for a very long time, and the Republican Party will be transformed forever in a much better direction.
I would agree. Got to go to break. More from Trevor Loudon after this. Stay with us.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. 800-705-6581. That's 800-705-6581. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. 800-699-0358. That's 800-699-0358.
Hey, Bill Martinez here. Do you have a minute to talk about your financial future? I'm feeling like you are. For most of us, our economy is in trouble. So is there a solution? Good question. I have a good answer for you. Check out my friends at Genesis Gold Group. They can help you secure your financial future in these unstable times. Gold and silver are precious metals that investors have counted on for hundreds of years. all investors agree that gold should be a part of our financial portfolios. This is why I recommend that you run, not walk, to the Genesis Gold Group. In fact, you don't have to run or walk. A free informative consultation is just a toll-free call away, and you can see for yourself why investing in gold and silver can make sense in securing your financial future. So call them 844-202-4252. That's 844-202-4252, or check out the website goldwithbill.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-745-9090. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-745-9090. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-745-9090.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
We're back with you as promised, 14 minutes before the top of the hour. Bill Martinez here with Trevor Loudon. Trevor, you got a copy of your latest book? Can you show us? I don't have a copy with me. I don't know. I think I saw it back there. Maybe I missed it.
Look, I'll just have, won't be a second.
Well, okay, wait. Okay, he's going to make a quick little shuffle off to the right. As you can tell, this was impromptu. I have not received his latest copy. I know it was in the mail, and I didn't get my hands on it, so I can't show it to you, but I want you to see his latest book and then also give him a chance to talk about it. Here we go. I was just telling the audience, it's in the mail. I haven't received it yet, so I can't show it, but you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, so look, sorry. It's a part of a series. It's part 3. Part 4 is coming out soon, but this is House Un-Americans, and I profile 90 currently serving U.S. Congress members with explaining their Marxist backgrounds, their revolutionary backgrounds, their Islamic links, their Chinese connections, Iranian connections. I say there's at least 90 members of the House who are so in bed with Iran and China and the American Communist movement, they couldn't pass a background check to drive a school bus. Wow. But they're they're serving on the Homeland Security Committee, the Armed Services Committee. You know, I profile Adam Schiff, deep Marxist pro-China background. All five of Connecticut's Congress members involved with the Communist Party. You know, virtually every state in the union is covered. So if people want to understand who they're voting for, the communist backgrounds of who they vote for, they can go to my website, trevorloudon.com. And there's 3 books already out. The 4th one is due, and 5 and 6 will be coming out in the next month and a half.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, look at this is supposed to be the consent of the governed. Knowledge is power. We have entrusted the direction, the trajectory of our country to people we thought and we hoped were looking out for our best interests, but here we are. I mean, we're that frog in that proverbial metaphorical burning, pot of boiling water that's getting burned alive here. And here we are getting cooked. And the person that's there steering the pot and turning up the heat is the guy you elected, the lady you elected. It's that shocking, isn't it?
Well, this is right, but it makes sense. If you were China and you wanted to take down America, would you want to risk billions on a trade war or a shooting war before you were ready? Or would you rather spend a couple of $1 billion buying up American Congress members to do things that you wanted, like open the borders, allow China to pillage your infrastructure, to buy further Congress members, etc., to take over Hollywood, all of it, to get into the education system? What would you do if you were Xi Jinping? And that's exactly what they've done. Trump's intelligence advisor, Ratcliffe, said that under the Democrats a couple of years ago, the Chinese controlled so many Democrat Congress members, they could dictate which legislation passed the Congress and which didn't. That was under the Democrats.
Well, and here it is. I mean, does anybody have their doubts that Joe Biden is not owned? He's not elite captured by the Chinese?
Look, he's been working with China since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in 2001, Joe Biden, this was on the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, he made an offer to the Chinese to help them negotiate trade agreements with the United States. Not to help the United States negotiate with China. This is when China were coming into the World Trade Organization. He offered to help China negotiate with his country, against his country, effectively.
Wow. Now, was he authorized by FARA in any way, or did he violate FARA?
Look, FARA is just the Foreign Agents Registration Act has been the dead letter for years. It's not enforced at all. Very, very rare exceptions maybe on certain people. But look, you've got massive Iranian influence operations in this country, massive Chinese influence operations. As I say, I'd say we've got about 40 senators in violation of FARA. You've got about 100 Congress members in daily violation of FARA, but nobody does a darn thing about it. So nobody's going to go after the vice president or a senior senator for violating an act that isn't applied to anyone else. So they don't care about it. They just work with Iran, they work with China, they work with Cuba, they even work with North Korea against the interests of America, and no one holds them accountable.
Well, Trevor, you bring up a good point here, and that is that if we had a little bit of an inkling of an idea of how many countries have an influence in our government, and I mean, like Xi Jinping going, hey, I don't need to fire bullets. All I need to do is, it's almost, this is comical because this might be a little bit appropriate here. I think it was James Carville had said something about the Clinton Foundation or Bill Clinton, that he knew that in order to attract young girls, all you had to do was drag $100 bill through the trailer parks of Florida, right? Something as disgusting as that. And it's almost the same way as you drag the comparative $100 bill in front of these legislators, and they can't help themselves. They are captured and they sell their souls. And here you are. I mean, we're not talking one or two. In your case here, you've got documentation of 40 congressmen,
40 senators,
40
senators, and about 90, well over 90 Congress members. And these are people like Adam Schiff, who was heading the Intelligence Committee. Benny Thompson, who is heading the Homeland Security Committee, is deeply in bed for years with pro-Chinese and pro-Cuban communists. Yet he was running the investigations of January the 6th.
January 6th, what a joke! Yes, exactly.
He was working with the Cubans to take American communists to Cuba to train on 7-year medical scholarships. He organized that. And that's 140 young communists who are stirring up trouble all over America now. Benny Thompson should be investigated by the Homeland Security Committee, not the chairman of it.
Right, exactly. This is why Donald Trump is a problem for them, right, Trevor?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Break that down. Expand on that a little bit more for people to understand, why Donald Trump is such a problem, for these Marxists.
Well, look, there was a top Chinese professor recently, Dong, I can't pronounce his name, but he was speaking at Remnin University, and he talked about the Chinese plans for taking over America, how they're setting up organizations in every congressional district to influence every congressional district in America. And they said, we controlled Wall Street. They were giving us all their pension funds. They were giving us everything. They were building our military for us. Donald Trump put a stop to that. But now it's back to normal. So look, Trump was working with Japan and India and Australia and South Korea to basically freeze out and destroy the Communist Party of China. He was going to do to China what Reagan did to the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
They had to stop him.
Mhm.
They had to stop him. So they gave us their pandemic. They gave us Black Lives Matter, which was completely a Chinese operation, and they were heavily involved. The same people that set up Black Lives Matter set up voter registration organizations in 7 key states, and they won 6 of the 7 they targeted for Biden-Harris by basically working the inner city communities they had black leaders organizing communities in Wisconsin. They had Lucha in Arizona, which made 8 million phone calls in Arizona. They had New Georgia Project in Georgia. They had Detroit Action in Michigan, etc. And these people were using Black Lives Matter activists and radicals to basically flip the inner cities of these big states, all working with a Chinese network.
Exactly.
You know? So this is what they do. It's logical. A few $1 billion can change an election in America. You can put your agent in the White House and take your enemy out. What would you do? And that's why I write my books, because this explains the communist connections of many of your prominent Congress members, from Nancy Pelosi to Adam Schiff to Rosa DeLauro. You know, forget the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars. Nancy Pelosi is just as communist as Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
But she's a lot more subtle about how she does it.
Father, BBS Radio TV. Our shows are so captivating, you'll binge watch until your couch demands a family discount and your remote tries to friend you on Facebook. Don't skimp on the popcorn. Lather on that butter like it's going out of style.
BBS Radio TV, live worldwide radio and web TV productions. A place for answers. We do talk shows so well, they might just talk back.
BBS Radio TV, from metaphysical politics to 9D chess. Our shows are so mind-bending, they make ordinary candy look like broccoli.
BBS Radio TV, free, unmolested content from A to Z. We don't limit the content, and we won't limit your opinions. You get to decide what's right, what you like, and then live with it. How do you like them apples?
Home sales are down 31% across America, and mortgage rates are on the rise. If your home is not selling, you need to call our experts right now at the Quick Cash Hotline. We have investors ready to pay you cash for your property, regardless of the condition it's in. Most of our closings can happen in about 7 days. You don't have to worry about a buyer getting approved. You don't have to worry about showing your home. One simple call right now. Just pick up the phone and call us. I'll give you the number in a second. We will negotiate with you a price to buy your home. It's that simple. If you're ready to sell your home right now, any home, any condition, and you don't want to put money into it, no problem. We'll buy it from you. Call right now. It's a free call.
800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. 800-217-6459. That's 800-217-6459.
BBS Radio TV. If it's not mainstream, it's on BBS Radio TV. A place for answers.